So, guys, we've come now to Final Fantasy XI July 9th expectations. This is a special 14-hour broadcast. There's a lot going to be going on.
In there. Expectations.
Expectations. Yeah.
We're going to execute on these expectations.
Sound off in the comments below the correct spelling of this word, and so the most humorous answer will get a heart in the comments. That's all I can promise in this regard. But what we want to do is kind of talk about what is coming up with this, what we can expect,
what's not coming up,
what's not coming. Lots of excitement. Just like every time we seem to talk about 6.0, I see, hey, when's the job action trailer reveal? Hey,
later.
Yeah, when's the information coming? What's changing with my job? The battle systems are changing, and I want to know. And so do the devs. We know that they're still actively working on the game, so they're still trying to decide on some of the names of the abilities themselves. So just note that information will be coming. It's just not coming on July 9th. But that doesn't mean that there won't be a little nugget.
I'd put it in that September-October timeframe.
That's probably the best expectation. Maybe set your mind for October, so that way if it comes in September, everybody wins, as opposed to like, it's September, Work to Game said so, and then it's like October, and they're like, oh, well, I'm bummed now. I have to wait all of September. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to give the highlight. We're just going to go through the post itself, give you guys the information, give you our thoughts, and that's what we're doing. So July's the 14th, the 14th hour broadcast. It's going to kick off July 9th at 6 p.m. PDT. So if you guys are Central Time, best time. That's going to be 8 o'clock in the evening, which is great.
Start speaking. So
that's when it starts.
10 in the morning. That's 10 in the morning is the end time. So that is a full overnight third shift shenanigans.
And it's going to kick off with a brief introduction that's going to last about an hour, and then starting around 7:30, again, zone 9:30, Letter from the Producer live is going to be kicking off. This is we'll cover what's all in that, but essentially then following that up is How Do You Like Hydaelyn? A live Q&A, Soken's play-by-play, our Tales of Adventure, and Hierarchies versus Yoshi P Round 9. And that's essentially going to be the detail of their 14-hour. Now, for those of you who are coming into the game and you have no idea what we're talking about here, this is usually around the time of the anniversary. But they did not do one for the last year's anniversary because of all the chaos with COVID, all the things going on, obviously with Soken that we know now. Welcome back, Soken. Really, really happy with that news. And with all that being said, this is where it's kicking off and playing into what they've got. So what is to expect with the introduction? If you can see here, we've got crazy costumes, more introduction of the team, who they are, what they do. Shenanigans ensue. It says the cast members kick off the show with opening remarks and a rundown of the broadcast. Like, hey, we've got 14 hours that we're going to be live with you guys. Here's what you can expect. So for the Letter from the Producer live, 7:30, aka 9:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. So it's a late night. We've gone longer with these events. The 65th installment of the Letter from Producer live is going to review recently announced information for Endwalker. In the later half of the show, they're going to be joined by guest creators Yoko Sato and Yoko Taro, and look back at the Uhura Dark Apocalypse, as well as answer questions from the official forums. So right now, guys, you can go out to the official forums, submit your questions, and more. So this is kind of them in retrospect. Go ahead, Chris.
Now, keep in mind, we will review recently announced information. So this is showcase and FanFest information. So this is not, we are going to show you gameplay from the new PvP mode. This is not, we are going to talk about Ishgard housing. This is not, we are going to talk about Island Sanctuary. This is not the job action trailer. This is things that we've already known. That does not mean that we will not get new context. So it is absolutely something Brian and I will watch and will cover. We will cover this kind of 2 hours. There could be things as the Yorha stuff where we get a feedback on how do they feel as crossover events this large? How do they feel about future crossover events? I don't know if those questions will be in there. How, is there any way they present previously presented information in a way that gives us a little bit of extra insight, a little bit of extra context? Maybe it's said a little differently than it was last time. But this does not seem like anything here is forward-thinking information that we will not have gotten. This is looking back at the Alliance Raid series of Shadowbringers, and this is looking back at all of the announcements that we have already been given for Endwalker.
And James is asking, is this going to be like FanFest? And the answer is no. This is not going to be like FanFest. We're not going to have a keynote kind of kickoff, but there
Right.
are themes that are similar, like we talked
Right.
about with the live Q&A. What you'll end up seeing more about this and how it related to how FanFest played out is because of its virtualness. But if you
This
ever
feels like
went
a
to a
day
real
two of
FanFest,
FanFest to me. Is that unreasonable?
I mean, if
This
we're talking
event's
about
particular
physical,
lineup feels like
right?
a day two of FanFest to me.
If we're talking about like a physical FanFest,
Of the
no.
digital FanFest, of this year's FanFest.
A digital fan fest makes more sense based off of the content that they've already got planned. So you could draw parallels. So I could see that. But I would hesitate
No finals
associating or
concert.
thinking. I would hesitate thinking fan fest and the 14 hour
No Mount.
because no Mount, no
Minus the celebration.
How do you like
celebratory?
celebratory? Absolutely. This usually comes at the anniversary.
Right.
So where like we usually get this every year, where FanFest we get every 2 years. So FanFest being more expansion focused, this being more celebration of the game.
State
and
of the
people
game.
Make it,
Where are we at?
100%. Anyway, so how do you like Heidelin? This is going to follow it up in the gameplay segment. Captain Tadaka, I'm probably butchering, and Gesunaka will be undertaking the challenge of learning blue magic. Come cheer them on and maybe even follow along and learn some blue magic yourself. So it looks like you're going to be playing with the community and playing as blue mages, which is exciting to see the developers do. Go ahead.
So I'd like to note the entire event at this point, this whole thing is going to be in Japanese audio. We are not talking live translation for the live letter. We are not talking live translation for this gameplay segment. The Discord community for the Reddit has some talented individuals who do a great job transcribing in real time a rough translation of things like this. I don't know if they'll be doing the gameplay segment, but they will do the live letter for us. And so that is where Brian and I get our information to put it out in real time, because the translation from Final Fantasy is much delayed. And so that is where that comes from.
Yeah. And so then moving on, the live Q&A looks like they're going to do the Zoom call. I haven't seen the Zoom questions trickle out from FanFest. So
please, if anybody here knows somebody or knows of somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody who got a question, my understanding is that everybody who asked questions at FanFest that did not get to ask theirs, because we had one of the questions go like 15 minutes and there were 30 people, is that those questions were all told, hey, you agreed to be at this thing digitally. We're going to go ahead and shoot you an email response to your question. And even if those are questions that have been asked before, sometimes, a written response has something in it that we haven't gotten. There's a different phrasing. There's a, hey, and one of the hard things is the way this relates to this other piece of content. Wow, they've never tied those two things together before. And so if anybody knows any way we can get any of the missing questions, 30 questions minus the like 5 or 7 or whatever he got to, you're talking about anywhere between like 2 and 4 interviews worth of information that is just, it's out there, it's floating, and it did not get published publicly in any official format. So if anybody knows of like a Reddit thread where it kind of got combined or anything like that, please feel free to share that.
Absolutely. So I'm wondering if we'll see some of the returners if they didn't get their question answered in this regard, but it's obviously shown from FanFest for the image that, hey, this looks like it's going to be connected via Zoom. So Yoshi P is going to be answering questions posted live by players. They may be able to hear his replies to a wide variety of inquiries, including burning questions, popular topics, heartwarming experiences, and much more. And that's going to be presented by Yoshi P and Toshora Morinashi. And then
those might only be Japanese questions, because at the bottom
probably.
It says the whole thing's Japanese only for audio.
Yeah, so I would expect that
they may not be
live translation. I know we're going to be doing live letter, but at the end of the day, like, what time was this actually happening? 11:30, so 12, 1:30. So it's late. We'll see we'll see. No promises on
I was like, I set an alarm and I don't know why it didn't go off.
Oops. Soken's play-by-play 1:30 a.m. to 3 a.m. aka 230, or 330 in this case. Sound director Soken provides insight and commentary as they take a closer look into the background music for 14. We're in for a wild but informative ride through some of your favorite tracks. And
Those are big. So one of the reasons I say this feels like a day 2 of a fan fest a little bit is for anybody that hasn't experienced an anniversary event, anytime we get anything like this, these are panels that fan fests do have at them. Things like this where we get a chance to sit down and look at insight and commentary behind an aspect of the game. Voice actors, music, level design, story design, anytime. And for even if whatever the subject is, it's talking about PvP or it's talking about ultimate design or whatever it is, this can give immense context because the whole game, no one thing functions in a silo in Final Fantasy XIV. Everything feeds back in. It's one big living thing. And so, obviously Soken is a huge, huge figure within 14 and the community loves and adores him. There is no way that his job does not impact other people's jobs. And so this can be the sort of thing where in this segment, it'll be a delightful segment on its own, but there can also in there be 2 or 3 sentences or 2 or 3 comments offhand where you're like, oh, I had no idea that this content over here was so impacted by the pace at which or the method of which they introduce the music into the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
May not, but
may not.
I really like them. I find them really insightful.
And then going on into our Tales of Adventure, this is going to be joined by special guests who are big fans of 14. Hear them recount their tales of experiences as Warriors of Light, which you might find quite similar to your own. And I'm going to guess that these were probably celebrities in Japan. I'd have to guess just based off of their headshots alone in and of itself. So we'll just kind of keep it up to that. If you guys know who they are, here's their headshots, and hopefully you enjoy. It would be kind of a real shocker if somebody just kind of stood out like, oh, there's Mr. Happy. Okay. Turns out he's a part of that one now. And then Horayuki versus Yoshi P round 9. Almost 5 years since round 8 was held in 2016. Yoshi P and Hiraki meet once again in this special talk session to cover a wide range of topics. And as far as the topics them go, it does not appear that they have those listed out here. So for that's kind of the big plan for the 14-hour, but it's important to note regarding the live letter, they're going to be doing a 6.0 digest. What that is traditionally in this regards. Now, traditionally, we wouldn't have had that in this kind of event, but I think essentially that to me says we're going to summarize, we're going to go over, we're going to relitigate in a way everything that we've kind of said that's coming. And I would expect we might get a couple of nuggets of new information, but right. It's not new information. It's not media tour information. And obviously anything they share is intentionally
This is one
shared.
Extra sentence that gives us context that we didn't have. This is one extra thing that implies that maybe something's in 6.1 that we thought would be in 6.0 or something like that. This is little things.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Don't sit down and be like, I'm going to watch this whole 2 hours and have my mind blown the whole time. This is a fan event for anniversary to celebrate the game. This is not a rundown of brand new information leading into the expansion.
Right. Exactly. So, Chris, what are you expecting? What are you hoping to see from this event? Obviously, the live letter, something we cover here on the channel and summarize it for everybody. But is there anything that you like? It feels like it's been a while since we've gotten any kind of new information or update.
Yeah, so there's some little remarks that if they go back over them, I'd love if the sentence was phrased a little differently to give us some context. They said they were considering some changes to the housing system for the next thing. And while I don't expect a full presentation of Ishgard housing, just state that statement again and see if it translates the same way, because I don't literally know what that means. I really look forward to if there's anything contextually post 5.55 that they feel they can mention in terms of myths of the realm or pandemonium or anything like that. I would love anything when they talk about the MSQ that hints at how long it is, just from I don't care what the answer is, just from the standpoint of you and I, to anybody here living in the US, we have a federal holiday that following Thursday. And so just from the how hard am I ignoring my family? The sooner I can start saying I'm out of town that week. Oh, really? Your car was parked in front of the house. Yeah, it's weird. Don't come in. So how how hard am I going that week? Because obviously we'll want to have kind of a good portion of things kind of cleared and stuff just from a content creation standpoint. And like there's just some context that I want. I'm not expecting brand new information. I'm not expecting them to name the new mode. I'm not expecting them to talk about what's changing with jobs, how Sage and Reaper are integrating. For me, that's what I want at this point. And I want the same things we just got, because it's been a lot of information and it's been trickling out since February. I want the same information we just got, but I want it stated so that anywhere that has been left to vagueness that we've been kind of speculating around. And then I also would like some clarity on 558 and data center visit, because we don't have true confirmation. A lot of that information is based around a leak or around some statements where it's been like, oh, it would be this sort of thing like this. And so like it's been super, super loose and vague. And so are we getting data center visit with 5.58 officially? Are we getting 558 as a patch? Is it really 558 or is it 6.08? Like, is it really coming prior to the expansion? Is it region locked? Like, say it explicitly, because I do not believe at this time it's region locked. I believe at this time it follows all the same rules as World Visit. Is that true? So these are things prior to 6.0 that are still missing. And then also, are we lifting like weekly lockouts on like Tower of Paradigm and things like that? Those are the sort of things that, if you're not going to tell me now, are we just going to see them in patch notes? Because we're like, the expansion is too far out for the fact that I want to play it right now, but it's coming up quick when we look at the number of remaining events like this.
For me, personally speaking, I would love to see more information about a data center visit and maybe even kind of a demonstration of that. Now, and the only reason I say that for this live letter is when I look at obviously 6.0, still a long time out. Yes, take some time, summarize 6.0, but talk about that road and talk about like what I think is really close, which we believe to be 558, which is based off of leaks, which is based off of the fact that 448, 458 or whatever had the world visit. So it seems to kind of parallel in that regards, but it's still not guaranteed. Like, it's not guaranteed that that's when it's happening. And, but I would love to see information on it, because like, everything is all speculative on data center visit. What can you do? What can you not do? Da, 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 da. I think this will be a good opportunity to talk about that, especially if it ends up being close to that mindset, that aspect of the game itself. So that's what I'm expecting. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll be live covering it as we usually do here on Twitch and on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe, like, favorite, share. And I saw that on YouTube, we got the clip feature now, the little scissors. So if you guys are watching a video, if anything stands out to you, be sure to make a clip. I'm excited to see how that does on YouTube. It's they're slowly figuring out that there's this platform called Twitch that does all this really cool stuff. So Luke Turner, before we go into our next subject, says, yeah, I lost my house in 14 when I was overseas for a few months. Wasted a dozen hours clicking on a placard already with no luck yet. Chris, can you relate directly with Luke here?
I have not lost a house. So
while clicking a sign, a placard, or over and
over. But I have seen them. So lost a house I equate with people who have truly lost one. But I have missed out on houses. And I can tell you there is another placard, and that also will not be your house. And there is another placard, and that also will not be your house. But if you keep doing it, eventually that expectation will be wrong. So just keep clicking and don't stop clicking. It's not about fun or joy. It's about a system that has aged poorly and that you're going to overcome it through sheer perseverance.
Man, I hope they fix the housing system.
They said they want to address it, but like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah. So we will find out soon. We will find out soon.
That sign.